Okay, so a knowledge question should have certain characteristics. First of all, it should be about something which matters. It should have significant implications. It should be something that engages all of us. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a worldwide phenomenon. It doesn't have to be an enormous event that's going on in the world. It can be something local. It could even be something personal, but it's got to be something that we all care about, something that we can recognize, something that we can sympathize with. So it should engage your readers or your audience when you're writing your essay or your presentation. Secondly, it has to be an open question. It has to lead on to something which is defined by debate. It can't just be a yes-no answer. A good rule of thumb is that if it causes a fight in your top classroom, it's probably a good knowledge question. Thirdly, and this is the tricky bit, it has to be a second-order knowledge question. We're not interested in first-order knowledge questions. Now, what's the difference between these? A first-order knowledge question is about the phenomenon itself. It's about something going on in the world. A second-order knowledge question is about how we know about that phenomenon, how we know about that event. To put this into context, if we were looking at human sciences, we're not interested in theories about the mind. We are interested in how we know about those theories of the mind. So can we trust what these psychologists are telling us? Has the scientific method been used? Is it reliable information? Is it strong knowledge? If we are looking at ethics, we're not really interested in the answer of, is the death penalty right or wrong? We want to know about how you come up with a position, how you base your knowledge on this question. So we might think about the way in which we use faith to come up with an answer to this question. We might look at how we come up with an answer based on reason. Do we use religion? Do we use the law, etc., etc.? If we're looking at the natural sciences, we're not interested in Einstein's theory of relativity per se. We're interested in how Einstein came up with the theory of relativity. Did he use imagination? Did he use reason? Did he use intuition, etc., etc.? Okay, so how do we get our knowledge questions? How do we extract them from a real-life situation? The first thing to say is that virtually everything, every event, every problem, every issue has a knowledge question attached to it. In its most basic form, we could simply ask, how do we know? How do we know about this? How do we know that there's an election going on in the UK today? How do we know that the sky is blue? How do we know that Washington, DC exists, etc., etc.? But we need to be a little more sophisticated than that. We need to link our knowledge question to an area of knowledge or a way of knowing, or more than one of those. And we need to frame it in a way in which we can explore it through those areas of knowledge. So to give an example, I read a story the other day from the BBC about pop music. The headline was, "Pop music had 3 revolutions." Apparently, scientists in London universities have looked at around 17,000 songs from the US Billboard Hot 100, and they have said that there were 3 revolutions in music: in 1964, in 1983, and in 1991. Now, as a music lover, I was drawn to this article. It seemed to me extraordinary that scientists could pinpoint with exact precision and accuracy this was when the revolutions occurred. And I got thinking about this story, and I thought this would be a very good story to look at in a top classroom, or even in an essay or a presentation. But what knowledge question can we use for this? Well, first of all, which areas of knowledge are we looking at? Clearly, we're looking at music, so we're looking at the arts. We are also looking at science. The article doesn't specify what sort of scientists these people were, so it could be natural sciences, it could be human sciences. So what's our knowledge question? Well, you could come up with something along the lines of, to what extent can we use the scientific method in order to understand the arts? And that would work.